Welcome to the Top Secret Wedding Podcast, and today's top secret tip is...
Reviews don't just have to come from bride and groom, they can come from vendors as well.
Want to learn more about the offboarding process? Check out this episode to learn more. This is the Top Secret Wedding Podcast, where we share top secret tips to help you take your wedding game to the next level.
I'm Annika, and I'm a wedding coordinator, enthusiast, and venue manager for one of the best venues in Idaho.
I'm Chris, and I'm a DJ, master of ceremonies, and all-around lover of weddings.
We're on a mission to improve weddings and wedding professionals everywhere.
Today, we are talking about the offboarding process, and I think it's often overlooked.
I agree.
Yeah. Do you guys have an official offboarding process with LaBelle?
A very weak one.
Very weak.
This is a spot we've kind of overlooked that we could definitely up our game at.
Okay.
So.
We do some. Yeah, but we don't go too heavy on this.
Yeah.
Which I think probably that's what people expect. But there are definitely some things that you could miss if you're not doing this. So
for sure.
Let's first talk about the purpose of offboarding. What do you see the purpose of offboarding as?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big purposes for offboarding is, ending that relationship with the client in a good way, but also providing a way to have future business.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of times with, I'll use LaBelle Lake as an example, but with our clients, we say, okay, you've had your wedding. Love you guys. Bye.
Right.
But also, what if they know someone else who's having a wedding? What if there's potential relationships there in the future? Or maybe down the road, they're looking for a reunion venue, or you just never know. You never know.
Yeah. And that's the thing with keeping that relationship alive, at least just a little bit every once in a while. I think that's important. And also, if you're in the wedding industry, at least for me, I think that there's a benefit that we have that other industries may not have, because we get so intimate with.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very intimate day, right? They're making commitments to each other, and they're allowing us to be part of that. And
exactly.
If we're doing our jobs right, hopefully we have more of a relationship than just transactional.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well, and I mean, even, I don't know why this example pops in my head, but they're not ordering lunch at McDonald's where it's
right.
Goodbye. If you go to McDonald's and they're like, hey, we hope you had that's just weird. But, with your clients, you are hopefully having a little bit more of a relationship with them. And I even look at previous brides and grooms I've worked with, and I'll see them in the real world.
Yeah.
It's how are you? It's not like the McDonald's worker. You have that relationship.
And I love, we typically follow all the people that we do business with. We follow them on social.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love seeing when, a year or two after, they're like, we're having a baby. And it warms my heart. And I think that is a huge benefit of the job that not all businesses get. So
yeah. Well, and I feel like that is something too that can help set you apart from other vendors in your same field, Yeah. Again, are they hiring a DJ to just come and play the music, or are they making a connection with someone? And it's not, okay, you were just a client, now your event's done, the money's done, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Are they paying for a vendor, or are they making a connection?
Yeah, I think maybe I've mentioned this, but there have been a few where people come up to me during the wedding. They're like, so how do you know these guys? I'm like, oh, well,
really?
They just hired me. They go, oh, we thought you were like a family friend because of the way you were interacting. Yeah. And that's probably one of the best compliments that I could get. So yeah, having a real relationship, if it's a real relationship, then it doesn't just end because they finished paying you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think that's part of the purpose. But also what you said before, having future business, because you never know. I mean, there may be a friend or whatever. And the other thing that I think is key, especially in our business, is getting reviews.
Yes.
That you need to be getting reviews, and that only happens afterwards.
I need to do better at getting reviews. I know that. So sure.
Well, let's dive into what this offboarding process looks like. And I think it's going to look a little different for every different type of vendor.
Agreed.
But there's a few different modes that you can use, right? You could email, and I think that's probably what most people are going to take. You're probably going to email. You could also be super classy and write them a letter.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, I've had brides who post-wedding, when they send out thank you cards, they'll send me a thank you card.
Yeah.
And that just makes my day to be like, oh, they took the time to write a note and send it to me. And so, I mean, even if it takes a little more time and effort, but even if you've worked with a client and you have that relationship, like, by all means, just take 5 minutes, write a little note, and throw it in the mail.
And I think a lot of vendors do few enough weddings in the year that, you know, if they do anywhere from 25 to 65 weddings in a year, I mean, you can probably handle that, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do is there are services online that you send them the message and they'll write it for you, and then they send it to the client.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So in either case, also depending on the relationship, it may be like a social relationship, like a social media relationship where you can, like, comment on their stuff. And I think probably the least common method of contact afterwards is a phone call.
Yeah.
Most of the time that doesn't happen. I've called a few people here and there, but it's not the normal for me.
It's kind of funny because I feel like it's okay, if you're looking at all these methods in, like, let's just say my mom. Am I going to call my mom? Am I going to email her or write her a letter?
Right.
Like, I would probably most likely call her and be like, hey, but when you look at a business standpoint, I feel like a phone call just feels so businessy if this is the point. Like, it's so opposite of what I always preach with everything else. Like, every other time I'm like, get on the phone. But with offboarding, I just feel like if you call, it's going to feel like you're just wanting to check a box.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I'm just floating this idea. I hadn't really thought of this before, but I mean, how personal would it be to call them and say, hey, I just wanted to call and thank you? And
and it's so hard. I feel like you have to know the client.
I think you'd have to know the client. You're right.
Because I feel like some, like, that would be awesome. Like, oh, they called me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But, like, I know myself, and if I had one of my wedding vendors call me after, I'd be like, okay, what do you want?
Right.
Like,
sure.
what, did you miss a check, or what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know, but maybe that's just...
I think in that instance, you'd have to take care of your, like, official offboarding stuff in a different way.
Yeah.
So like, you email them and ask them for reviews and send them the deliverables. But then you call and just say, hey, I wanted to thank you.
I think that's the thing. Yeah, I feel like that could be really
Somebody
cool.
try that and tell us how it goes.
Yeah, let us know how it goes. I'm curious.
No, I think I'll probably try that this year with a few weddings.
Try it. Let me know.
So let's talk about what to include in your offboarding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think at the very least, a thanks. Like,
I feel like a sincere thank you is good. Because just saying thank you for hosting your wedding at La Belle Lake. We are so pleased to have helped you. Like, that is so not sincere and impersonable. But if you can make it sincere.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you, you should take the time to personalize it just a little bit at least.
Well, and even if you just personalize it a little bit and throw in, like, one little fact. Like, like, hey, Bob and Amy, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, thank you so much for letting me be a part of your wedding day. I loved when the bridesmaids busted a move on the dance. Something
crazy that it ended in rain, but
something to make it not, so they know it's not just like a computer automating it on the other side. I guess that's what I'm trying to get across.
And you could have most of it automated. You could have most of the email already written, but like
put a little something in there so they know there's a human.
So a thank you and then a review. You should ask for reviews and go listen to our thing on reviews. But you should be asking for reviews, or at least, at the very least, feedback from every single client.
Yes.
Unless it ended really badly, then that's a different story.
But that's a different story.
Yeah.
But
and then, of course, deliverables. If there's anything, that you should be delivering to them.
Yes.
Photos, video, for us, sometimes we have recordings of speeches or things like that we send them.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know how often they use it, but in my mind, it's not mine. It's theirs. It's their special day. So they should have access to those recordings. So you should send them those things. And then also, I think we already talked about this, but in our notes it says personal connection. There should be some sort of connection. So, I think, the offboarding process, it doesn't have to be totally complicated.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, even myself included, I feel like I tend to make it complicated just because I feel like there's this need to, but really it doesn't need to be complicated.
Yep.
Yeah,
just have something in place. And then once you've done this, right, you send 1 or 2 emails asking for a review or whatever, right? Do you do any further communication after that?
No.
I haven't. Well, for the most part, I haven't. With some couples, 6 months to a year after their wedding, I'll call them up and ask them.
That's so cool.
Do another review, like, hey, tell me what you remember from your wedding. Tell me what you would change. Looking back, what were you looking for in a DJ, and what were you surprised with, or what was the value that we gave you? And that's been somewhat helpful.
Yeah.
But also it's nice to just communicate with them and catch up a little bit. The other thing that you could do, depending on your business, you might have, maybe a newsletter that goes out every 3 months or something like that says, here are the updates, here are some things that you might be interested in. But you want to, as much as possible, try and stay top of mind without being annoying.
Yes.
And that's a careful balance. If you're sending emails every week, you're gonna get unsubscribed. But if it's every 3 months, maybe. A lot of photographers, so they send me a lot of times, and maybe they do this with you too. They'll send me the albums from weddings.
Yes.
When you do that, you put in your email, and then most of these services also have a way that they can reach out to you again.
Yeah.
For like around Christmas time, I'll usually get emails from photographers, and I know they're automated. I'm guessing they're automated. That says, "Hey, would you like to buy these prints or whatever?" So I think there's value there, in just making sure that you're not just writing the client off like it was just a transaction.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
Yeah.
So,
any other thoughts about offboarding?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's a small thing that can have some really good effects. And you should just take a few minutes, make sure that you have your offboarding process in place. Otherwise, you might be missing something.
Yeah, I guess one thing I do want to mention is, we talked a little bit before about the prep of events. But, when we meet with a bride, we have a piece of paper that says this is the process with working with us.
Yeah.
And so including, like, now that I think about this, I don't think I have this, so I should. But including in that process, the offboarding, that way they're prepared for that offboarding.
Yeah, we'll send you an email.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe including the clients into, well, this is what our offboarding looks like. This is what you can expect from us. That way they're not just like, oh, why are they calling or emailing me? Or, just
Providing.
Preparing. That's the word. I was like, it starts with a P, and I don't know. Preparing your clients for what to expect.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the reviews. Saying, hey, by the way, we're going to be sending you at the end, we're going to be sending you a review, a link to a review.
That's such a good idea. I just feel like I have the hardest time getting reviews, but even like, when you're in that meeting before the day or whenever and just saying, hey, we're going to send you a review, it would help us out so much in being sincere and in person telling them that. Then they're probably more likely to be like, oh, they sent that review.
Right.
I got to fill it out instead of just, oh, they want a review.
Yeah. Get reviews. Is what we're saying.
Yes. Reviews are so important.
Yeah. So this is your reminder. Just look at your offboarding process. If you don't have one, establish one. If you've got one, just see how you can refine it, making sure that, you're getting the most out of it, but not pushing too hard. And making sure that you're keeping that relationship alive. You might be ending the transaction, but keep the relationship alive.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Top Secret Wedding Podcast.
Subscribe, rate, and review us, and we'll see you next time.